So yeah, this will be, I think you'll find this recording very useful too, to go back and see what Mark's about to show us. So again, just for the recording, this is Mark Grieg with Principal AI Architect for OIT, developing UTVerse. And I will turn it over and let him get started.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. The UTverse, a lot of you have been using it. We see the metrics. There's thousands of people across campus, all the different campuses at UT using UTverse. We're pretty proud about that. But still today, there's a lot of questions around the idea of how you're supposed to use AI, how are you supposed to be prompting AI, how are you supposed to have that iterative feedback and whatnots. And thankfully, today I'm going to be demonstrating some brand new tools that are coming in a few days. This is going to be a very big update to the existing version of UTverse that you can see online. And these features are actually going to be able to answer a lot of your questions, perhaps even all of your questions. So if you don't mind, I'll be sharing my screen. Okay. I think you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So what you're seeing here is the new version of UTverse. It may not look any different than the current version that you're using. In fact, I'll tab over to the current version and let me create a new thread here. Whoops, I clicked on the help by accident. And it looks very similar. There's some differences, but ultimately we're working on refreshing the entire user interface and also implementing a lot of new features that'll make using AI a lot more enjoyable and useful. So what exactly are these features? And how do you interact with an AI in the first place? Is there anybody here who has very minimal experience with AI, or is everyone kind of like on the same, learning curve and they've been experiencing AI for some quite time? Okay. Seems like everybody's kind of familiar in how AI works. ChatGPT, Copilot, UTverse. So that's great. That helps kind of getting that starting point. The first feature I'd like, the first feature I'd like to showcase is brand spanking new, is called the Smart Prompt. So how do you access the Smart Prompt? The Smart Prompt shows as this little magic wand icon at the bottom right of your little tool prompt window over here, right? So you click on it, and now you have a new interface that comes up. So the smart prompt will say, "Hi, I'm your prompt engineer assistant. I'll help you create the perfect prompt for your needs. Tell me what kind of prompt you're looking for, and we'll work together to refine it." So it is exactly what it says it's going to do. There's a few ways you can interact with this. You could have started by saying something over here and press the magic wand tool, and it'll copy over your prompt into this window. And you could submit it as is, and then it will iterate onto your prompt. Other ways you can iterate on this is you could use one of these three buttons over here. So I need a prompt that will inspire me to use AI. We could do that. We'll click on that just as an example. And now the AI comes back with a suggestion. So we just said something like what we would call talk to Google. We'll query Google like this, like I need a prompt that will inspire me to use AI, right? But that's not how large language models work. They're a lot more sophisticated than that. They're based off of human knowledge. So it expects us to speak to it like a human being. So one of the ways that you can go and do this is you put in your initial prompt, and then it comes back with its enhanced prompt. So explore the potential of artificial intelligence in your creative projects. Describe the specific area where you believe AI can enhance your work. whether in writing, art, music, or another field. Outline the challenges you face in this area and how envision AI overcoming them. Finally, consider the ethical implications of using AI in your creative process, how you would address them. And then this is the prompt that it created, right? On top of this, it says it's configured to balance and intermediate. Now on the left side over here, you got prompt settings, and you'll see you got creative, balance, precise. This is the same thing as when you're creating your own AI assistants. We'll look into this in a bit. And basically, most people will probably keep it on balance, but it allows you to fully customize how you get back your responses from the smart prompt AI. At the top over here, you see it says, this prompt encourages the user to think deeply about the integration of AI into their creative endeavors, fostering innovation while also considering ethical dimensions. That's fine and all, but what if we want to iterate on this? Well, we could chat over here to make some adjustments. We can click on the simpler button here. And here we have some suggestions that were created by the AI. For example, rephrase a prompt to focus solely on one creative field like writing or music. Break down the prompt into simpler questions to guide the response more clearly. Use more straightforward language to describe the role of AI in creative projects. We can do that. So that's kind of what we're going to go with. And so now the AI will iterate off of this, and now it's changed its prompt to better reflect this. Now, these are just suggestions, right? The simpler or more detailed or different styles. This is just to get you going, to get your creative, you may not know everything about a certain topic, and maybe some of these buttons will inspire you to kind of look towards another direction with those prompts. But you can always iterate using the chat window over here by hand. You can click on more details, and now you'll have a lot more details about like ChatGPT or DALL-E, for example. You could have different styles, like format the prompt as a question and answer, asking specific questions for the user to answer. Use a storytelling approach, prompting the writer to narrate their experience with AI in a story format. So there's a lot of different ways which you can go about using the smart prompt to help you iterate to get that one perfect prompt that you would really want. Before we use this prompt, let me just explain a little bit more about the interface. On the left side, you'll see effective prompt tips. You could imagine these kind of like the tenets of prompting, right? So be specific about what you want the AI to do. Include relevant context and background information and so forth. So these are some tips that you could, reference. So you don't need to use the smart prompt. You can just go there for a reminder of how to use the, how to prompt, right? Getting those tips. Over here at example prompts, we'll extend that. We have some example prompts for academic analysis or creative writing, code generation, research questions. You just need to press this little plus button and it'll add it right here. And then we also have some advanced techniques. Advanced techniques are things you may have heard of these before. They're called chain of thought, few-shot learning, role-based prompting, output format control. So these are some of the more advanced techniques. Once you're familiar enough with how to prompt the AI, you could start learning about chain of thought and see how that can enhance the prompts, right? The responses that you get back from the AI. And so it's a full educational experience with this. In fact, if you click on Help Me over here, you'll even get more help on how to get better responses from the prompt changes. And let me start over. There's a button over here. And you see over here, there's a button called Browse Save Prompts. Underneath here, there's also, and this only appears when you start a fresh prompt thing. You'll see like academic writing and research, math and technical support, presentations and documents, campus-specific resources, right? So we're still working on these categories and what will go inside, but I'll click on one of these, and now I have like subsection, right? Let's click on thesis statement generator. Now it says, this is another education thing. Generate number. The number will be listed here, so we could put in 3 potential thesis statements for a paper length. So now it's telling us the paper length. So we'll do 8 to 10 pages, right? On topic, so sustainable agriculture at UT. And for a level, so for a level and then undergraduate course at UT, for each thesis, provide a brief explanation of how it could be developed and what type of evidence would support it. So now it's kind of teaching you kind of how a proper prompt should look like by filling in the blanks, right? And you could use this prompt if you wanted to, and you could either use this prompt as is, or you could have the AI go on and enhance it. So what we're going to do instead of using that prompt, we're going to explore something called the your prompt gallery. Now, these prompts that you've saved, I should have shown you the bookmark button. It was let me just show you the bookmark button. I forgot to show you. So over here, you got the bookmark button, and you also have the copy to clipboard button. You can also click on this button over here and to use this prompt directly, or you could press this button here to save to your bookmark, right? We'll go to Browse Save Prompts, and this is all of your prompts that you've saved before. So if you're always reusing the same prompts over and over and over again, right? Maybe you're teaching a class or whatever. Going back to your prompt gallery might be beneficial, like saving all your prompts. And another way you could access it is on the home screen over here, right? You have your example prompts. Then you got your little dice button that randomizes these prompts. But on the right side here, there's a new button. This button is actually where you go for your prompt gallery. And from here, you could just explore the ones you've actually saved. You could search for them. So I'll type in The Witcher, and then I got some prompts about The Witcher. And then you can notice also there's like public and private. This is because you could publish your prompts to be available for the public for the entire university, or you could keep them private. And before we do that, actually, we will use one of the prompts. You can click on the Use button over here, and there are many other buttons to explore, and I would encourage you to click on these other buttons. So this is just explore the origins of The Witcher, focusing on historical, cultural influences, etc., etc., etc. So now the AI is going to come and go on the internet and research this information. And you know you're on the internet when this little button goes green. So if you click on this button, you'll enable internet access, right? And here we see Geralt, and I don't know if you guys ever seen The Witcher or read the books, but now we got all this information back. We got the references at the bottom over here. We can click on one of these references and it'll open up in a new tab. If you click on one of these images, you'll see that it comes up in a bigger view. You could always save those images individually if you like to. We could scroll up and we'll see like they have these little footnote things that you can click on, and it'll show you that it's number 2 over here and whatnot. You could always press this icon over here to go back to where it referenced it. So what you've all probably used this before, but what happens afterwards once you've got your prompt, your response back? Well, you could use something called the smart reply. Now you can access the smart reply by clicking on this robot icon, or you can press Alt-R. Alt-R is the first keybind that we've created. There's going to be many more, and in the future, we'll let you customize all these keybinds if you wanted to. And now you see the smart suggestions or smart reply suggestions. For example, could you elaborate more on how the law of surprise plays a role in character relationships through the series? What are some specific examples on how the socio-political context influenced the character arcs in The Witcher, and so on and so on? You can click on one of these and it'll insert it in the input box, or you can press on this little reply settings and now it extends. You could change the style to professional, balanced, or casual. You can change the length from concise, moderate, or detail. You can change the focus into a question, clarification, extensions, or so on. So we'll do questions, detailed, and casual, because that's pretty obvious to tell the difference. And now we refresh it. And it'll generate a new list over here. That's really fascinating. Can you tell me more about how the character of Geralt reflects the struggles of Polish identity in the stories? You could see the big difference between going from balanced to casual. So every pieces over here adds value to the educational experience of learning how AI works, so that AI is no longer that mysterious black box, right? And that's the problem with AI. A lot of the times, most of the times, I would say it's just a mysterious black box. And this version of UTVerse, which again comes in a few days, is going to kind of alleviate a lot of these questions on, well, how does AI really work, or what happens if I change these settings or whatnot. You don't get that option with ChatGPT or Copilot and whatnot. You don't get to change these settings, but here you get to change these settings. You get to change it when you're asking questions. You get to change these settings when you're asking for replies. And you get to change it when you're creating your AI assistants. But before we dive into AI assistants, let's click on this menu button, and you can tell that it's changed dramatically over the old version. So we'll click on the menu on the old version. It's quite different. And you get the new search feature. The threads are now organized a bit better with like today, yesterday, May of 2025. You can load more, you could search, you can do all sorts of fun little things. Here you have UTVerse Gallery. We'll click on it. It's still a work in progress, but as you can see, these are the AI assistants I've published. There's a like count. There's view and manager because it's my own. And we could also go search through the AI assistants, even filter through them. So you could see like these are just random categories I made. Here's some AI models, the tags, not yet ready, but which AI assistants you've imported or not imported, and different sorting methods, right? You could also change how they're displayed. And you can go from public to private. So you could see your own AI assistant, and that's already in your profile, right? You can also view smart prompts. So now it's loading my own smart prompts over here. You can go and see the public smart prompts, the ones that have been published publicly. You know what? I like this one. Let me just like it, and then it'll just add one like in here. And you can always extend onto this and see, hey, this is a pretty cool prompt. I like it, or whatnot. And you can import it into your own prompt gallery, or just copy it and paste it into whatever you want to use. You can click on AI assistants, and before you want to actually use an AI assistant that somebody created, right, you can press on this little play button over here, or you could even view the details of it. But let's press the play button over here, and you don't need to actually import it to test it out. Say hi. Oops. Let me click on here. Oh, seems like it's being a little buggy. Huh. Well, we'll assume that works. We'll go to the AI assistant section, and the same feature will be there. So how do you access your own AI assistants? Well, you go back to the hamburger menu, and you see the settings is over here. So You can click on that, or at the top right, you'll see your list of AI assistants. You could either press the cog wheel over here to customize all of them, or you could go to one specifically by hovering over it, and you'll see the details, and you can press the little cog wheel over here, and it'll automatically open up the AI assistant that you want to edit. If you're in the Manage AI Assistant section, like you would get in the settings, this is what you'll see. These are all your AI assistants. So what is the purpose of an AI assistant? Is just using the existing AI assistant the best choice? Well, for most cases, you'll probably just want to use the default AI assistant, but sometimes that may not be enough. Like over here, I have an email assistant for support with a snowboard guy because I just use whatever image just to test it out. But the email assistant, if I have that selected, I can just write what I want and not ask it to be an email assistant. It's already an email assistant. It already knows how to format my emails. It already knows what tone I want to use. It already knows how to, put in my signature at the bottom, or perhaps if I copy an email and I paste it into UTVerse, it knows how to respond to that, right? And this is where AI assistants really start shining as a utility more than just something where you customize its personality. So let's create a new AI assistant. We'll say email assistant demo. Email assistant. Oops. So the description is completely optional in the sense that the AI doesn't really care what its description is. But when you're generating an AI, right, and you're creating like the personality, and you press on the prompt, the persona, the smart persona, sorry, there's a lot of new terminology. It will consider the name, the description, and what you've already included into the personality. So write emails based on whatever I paste, right? That's all I'm going to write for the personality. And now I'm going to press this magic wand button. So just like the smart prompt, it's going to consider everything that I have here. So I'm your persona engineer. I'll help you create the perfect system prompt for your AI assistant. I see you already have some information about your assistant, name, blah, 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 blah. I'm currently analyzing it, and now it analyzed it, and it created the persona just as how it needs to be. So you can go and refine it. You could type in what you want to refine in that persona. You can accept it as is, or notice how it asks you some new questions. Refine your system prompt. What specific tone variation should assistant adopt based off of different user contexts or relationships, formal, business, casual, or friends, right? So now when you click on it, you get this nice new menu, and you have all these suggestions that were suggested by the AI. So maintain a formal or respectful tone for business communication utilizing traditional greetings such as dear and structured personal format. I don't know about me using dear, but I'll go to the next one. In communications with colleagues, use a neutral tone that balances professionalism with approachability, allowing for slight informalities while still being respectful. You can also type in what you want over here. So now you see it added it over here, right? And these are all optional, but you can continue and append to more. We'll just assume this is what we want. We'll just click on apply refinement. Here we see the AI generating the alterations. So now it went through all of this and made the alterations. You could, yes, dear Mark. I'll accept what this is, and you notice that it pasted everything over here. So you no longer have to be a system prompt engineer. It just does it for you. And you could see at the very end, it says best regards your name. So we want to kind of replace this your name with Mark Grieg, right? Um, I guess that'll be good enough for now. We could pick a category, so we'll do clerical, and then the AI model, we'll do 4.1 mini, and we'll do public gallery. We don't need to do public gallery or direct sharing. So direct sharing is if I were to share with you my AI assistant. I can click on this little eye and it'll reveal the actual code, right? You could press this button to refresh the code, and you could even copy it by pressing the clipboard button. Now, you guys won't be able to import this because this is on my local server on my laptop. There are other settings that you can adjust, such as tags. So we could do education, or we could just add a new one like clerical if we wanted to, or something else, right? You can upload an avatar if you wanted to, and we'll make it a bird. We'll apply, and we can also go to advanced settings. There are multiple tabs up here, and in the future, there's going to be even more tabs. So always look to see if there's a new tab. There's going to be a new knowledge tab where you'll be able to import files by uploading them or from your maybe SharePoint or OneDrive or something like that. There's going to be all sorts of different ways which you'll be able to import data. This will be great because that means that you'll be able to share an AI assistant with a certain set of knowledge. It'll be basically fine-tuned, right? That's what happens when you upload a file. It basically fine-tunes the model with that knowledge. So that way, when you share it with, let's say, a student, and you say, use this AI assistant, this is your assignment, and it already has the knowledge that's ingrained into that AI assistant, play with it with all these settings that have already been assigned, right? So advanced settings will have like creative, balance, accurate. You've already seen this probably when creating an existing assistant. Um, but I'm not going to go into too much details about this because it is a lot of information to digest. And I will show you how to learn more about this in just a second. So I'll click on Create an AI Assistant. So now it's going to create it. Fail to upload avatar. All right. Let's just remove the avatar. Of course, they would fail to do something. Um, so I'll just create the AI assistant. Hmm, not sure why it's not creating it, but I'll look into it in a second. It's a work in progress. We're always changing things. And I've been working on it this morning, so it may have affected it. So let's assume this is the email assistant that I've created already. You have a bunch of buttons at the top here. You can press the play button and you can test it. So, hi. And this is an email assistant, so it's not going to be, you know, it says, it looks like you just said, hi, how can I assist you today with your email or technology support needs the UT? If you need help drafting an email, have any questions related to tech support, feel free to let me know. So you notice how it kind of restricted itself to being just an AI email assistant, right? It's not trying to be your overreaching assistant. It's just trying to help you out with emails. You can press on this button over here that's like a globe, and that'll let you publish to the UTVerse gallery. So we'll do that. We'll just publish it to UTVerse gallery. And there's some issue. I don't know what's going on, but suddenly everything is breaking. Let me click on add to favorites. So you could always add your AI assistants to favorites. And you could disable these features as well. So I'm not sure what's going on. Did my server crash? Yeah, it may have crashed, but um, so I will rerun my server. And while it's doing that, maybe I'll be lucky and be able to click on the help section. Okay, so if you need help, you can click on the help section. It's been completely revamped. And now you can see there's a lot of different categories. If you click on a category, you'll see that there might be a video, there might be some actionable buttons to click on. You can even extend a bunch of things beyond, like these little cards. You can extend them to get more information. And there's a lot of additional information for each page, like over here, important information about privacy. Should you put in PII or FERPA data and stuff like that? If we go back, we can click on AI assistants. And here we learn more about creating AI assistants, why you should create them. And we could scroll down and see the advanced settings. What do they all mean? Why should you configure them? You could also see, how to upload documents and how all of it works, what's the technology behind it. So it's not, there's some surface level information, but there's always that part where you could dive even deeper for educational purposes. Because we don't want this to be like a black box, right? We want this to be, fully open for people to understand how every piece of this works. When you see your models, when you select a model, and now everything seems to break. This is very strange. I am not sure why things are breaking.
It just helps us feel better that it's not just us.
Okay. Let me just go and run this again, because I was working on it and I swapped back, but I think that it had kept one of the broken files, and now it's going to refresh. It's going to take a little while to boot. So while it's booting, maybe I could answer some questions if anyone has questions so far. Because I did go through a whole lot of information pretty quickly. I will say that each of these features has its own podcast. So we have our own podcast called UTVerse Unplugged. You can go to oit.utk.edu/AI. I think that's it. Hold on, let me change that into a link. And then there are some podcasts over there. And from there, you'll be able to kind of you'll see like a list of topics, and we keep releasing them every 2 weeks. And when we release a new episode, it'll have like the title of the topic, the description, and I think it's a really exciting series, because you get to learn a whole lot about not just UTverse but AI and the upcoming features as well. And I think it is okay. Now it's booting. Okay. I'm going to be on the old version of UTverse, the one that's listed live. And if anyone has questions so far, none? No one has a question at all? Takes about 2 minutes to boot.
Hi, Mark. I have a question.
Yeah.
Chris Cantoni from Haslam. And so
Mhm.
I think you and I had spoken about this a while ago about adding documents to GPTs or assistants that you create. Is that still being worked on?
Yeah, that's what I was showcasing earlier, is that when you're creating an AI assistant or editing them, there's going to be a new tab showing up. It's not going to be in this version, but in a future version, where it's a knowledge tab. And in that knowledge tab, that's where you'll be able to add that knowledge to the AI assistants.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't make
Yeah.
that connection, but I appreciate it. When do you think that'll be out?
Once this version is out, we're going to spend probably about a week to refine the version that we just released, fixing all the bugs that we find and whatnot. Then afterwards, we're going to be working on the server, which is going to be upgraded to an MCP server. If you've heard of that recently, it's a big deal. Um, and we're also going to be updating the document upload system. Once the document upload system is updated, and this is going to include like access to your OneDrive and whatever else that we can include in this update, is also going to allow you to kind of reference files that you've previously uploaded, so you don't have to keep re-uploading the same file whenever you create a new thread. And it's also going to allow you to kind of add knowledge to the AI assistants. Now, just an important part about knowledge with AI assistants or uploading files in general, this is all RAG based. So it's not like the AI's been trained on this information. So it's not going to act like it knows all the information unless you specify what information you're looking for from that document, right? Like if you were to train an AI model from, the ground up or whatever, it has that information to reference, but it doesn't do it in the same way that RAG does. It's just a limitation in technology right now. So be aware that you'll still have to ask questions regarding that RAG file, that it in a way that it would understand that it needs to get it from that RAG file. You can still upload a document with like a bunch of Q&As, and you'll still be able to answer based off of that Q&A document. But there may be some limitations. At least I foresee some limitations with that, just because that's where we are in technology wise.
Sure. No, that helps a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that aspect of that, but yeah, that'll be helpful just because I'm trying to balance out using ChatGPT and UTVerse for convincing instructors that they can use AI to help them streamline grading and lesson planning.
So you may actually notice that ChatGPT, when it does like its memory thing, it's actually doing it through RAG, right? So accessing all your conversations. So when you're asking it, hey, that other day when we talked about this, well, it's doing RAG, so it has a lot of limitations onto the information that it remembers or the correct information that it remembers, because you may be asking it the same question, but in different ways through different threads, or it may actually just not remember at all. So there is a lot, you can experiment with ChatGPT with its current persistent memory system and see how that works. And that'll kind of give you a better idea on the limitations on file document upload, because it's the same technology. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good.
It's complicated. It's very difficult to kind of explain these things, especially. But persistent memory is another thing that we're looking into adding when we're refining the new document upload system to kind of prepare it for that. And you'll definitely have full control over that. And it's going to be kind of neat. I'm thinking about like neurosurgery on the memories too. So you have full control. So now we have the app running again. We're at models, right? And we're seeing now that the models look a little different. If I go to the old UTVerse, we go to settings and we go to models, right? Then the entire settings looks completely different side by side. Now it's a lot more useful. Now we see, what's its maximum context window? What's what's the quality score? Now this information is randomized. It's not actually in the database. Well, it's in the database, but it's randomized. But we actually have a source from Microsoft that actually has all these comparisons and benchmarks, and we're going to be putting them directly into these models in its release. So it doesn't really cost $4 per million to do GPT 4.1, meaning it's actually like 25 cents or less than that, something like that. So we'll click on that, and now we get more information about the actual model itself. We could even click on this button here that compares with other models. And now you see like different models or speed analysis. We're going to add more tabs and whatnot to compare with the other models we have supported. You also see the quality metrics like reasoning, Q&A, groundedness, retrieval, summarizations, math, knowledge, clustering, and so forth. This model supports internal thinking and throughput output, usage tips. So it tells you, some more tips about this model. So each of the model that will will support, it will actually give you all of this information and be able to compare it between each of them. Yeah, I could compare, showcase some of the personalization features. The last couple things real quick is you can manage your files over here. Make sure that you delete your files once in a while, the ones that you don't use, because you do have a limit to how many the file limit that you have. So you could click on these and press on delete the selected, right? So you press on this, you confirm, and then it will delete. Just give it a second. Taking a little while. All right. So we go over to the dashboard. Dashboards and also another new feature. We got all this stats about your usage, how many tokens you've been using, your input, output. You can press on this fun little button to see the difference. You could extend this to see which AI models you've been using. You could also see the time frame. And you could also find out information on what tokens are and how they are used. So there's generally going to be a little help icon that you can click on things to learn more about how things work. So we want to make sure that everyone can understand how AIs work from end to end, right? So whenever you use UTVerse, there's always something new to learn. There's activity. You could see your activity, like your sessions, assistants, et cetera, et cetera. Personalizations. We got a lot of personalizations that you could have. Before anything, I want to enable under accessibility, there's something called cursor glow. So now I should have enabled this when I was presenting. You could change the glow size. You could change whether or not you want the cursor to appear or disappear. You could even change the glow color. So you could have it pink or brown or UT orange. You could even change the cursor trail to make it really long or quite short. Or just no trail at all. You could just get rid of the trail. So this is really good for presentation, or if you're like me and you tend to lose the cursor a lot, especially when you have 3 monitors. That happens a lot. So for accessibility, one of the things we've done or pioneered a couple of years ago, was it 2023, yeah. We were the first ones to actually implement accessibility features into AI. And it's pretty great that people can benefit from using them as well. We got in accessibility different color modes, so like invert colors, sepia, grayscale, and vibrant. So this just changes all the colors on the screen. You get some hue rotation that you can select as well. You could change the brightness, the contrast, the saturation. Let's bring down the brightness a bit. You could also add some text stroke, which is kind of work in progress. There's a lot of limitations with CSS, and it's quite difficult to get it right. I've been trying to get it to work to where it understands the pixels around it, and to to try and have kind of like a proper stroke around it based off the color that it's surrounded by. But man, it is difficult. I will say that the web technology is not evolved to the point where it should be as far as accessibility features. It is very, very behind and very, very difficult to use. We showed the glow stuff, and we also had the context helper, which is when you select something, there's like the copy button and all of that stuff that you could even translate. So you can disable that if you don't like it. Appearance, you could change a word spacing. Let me change that real quick. You could do character spacing, line height, and font size. So we'll reset those. And speech language, you could pick many different languages. you can go to speech options. These will change like the voice, like male or female, or if you want it extra slow, extra fast. You could change the volume, you could change a voice pitch, and even the style, like customer service, shouting, whispering, and so forth. You can also do some language overrides. So if you're teaching a language, right, and let's say you're teaching French, and the responses are coming back in like both English and French because you're learning French. The language override is great because by default it'll just do like English, and it'll pronounce the French words as with the English accent, right? It's terrible. So by selecting an override over here, if you're teaching French, it'll say the English part with a French accent, but it'll speak the French words with the French accent, right? So that's its purpose over here. Speech translations, when you want to translate your own speech, when you're doing speech to text to any of the available languages. You can also do text translation. So I'll show you this in just a second. So we'll go over here and we will say a new chat. Tell me about yourself. Oh, actually, I should have actually said something out loud. This is a new feature that's just coming out. Watch. I'll press the microphone button. I have to click on allow to allow the permission. Hello there, how are you doing? My name is Mark, and as you can see, the text is showing up in real time as I'm talking. There's probably about half a second, maybe a second delay between the time that it takes for it to appear on the screen, but I can actually talk really, really fast, and then it'll still understand what I'm saying. Bonjour tout le monde, mon nom est Marc. Comment ça va aujourd'hui? Konnichiwa, namae wa Mark desu. Dozo yoroshiku. So now you can see it actually understands more than one language at a time. It actually understands whatever language you're actually speaking and doing it in real time. So you don't actually have to just speak English anymore. You can just speak in whatever language you want to speak in. Like before, you could select different languages and speak those languages, but it was only kind of like you can only speak English and then you submit it. And then you can only speak Japanese, you could submit it. But now it understands in real time that if you're speaking in English, you're speaking in English. Speaking Japanese, you're speaking in Japanese. Now I'm going to stop this transcription because there's no point. But this is a new feature that's come with it. Now, the old one, you could still see there's a microphone button, right? You can still use it there, but it's nowhere near as good as this version. If you were to translate, you can press the translate button over here, and it'll translate it into whatever language you have selected. It seems that I have selected Greek. You can also use this button over here, which is the immersive screen reader. The immersive screen reader is really amazing. It's got so many great features built into it. And we have a podcast that goes into this into detail. But basically, it's for accessibility reasons. You need a screen reader. This is it. This is the screen reader for you. It allows you to also do line focus. You could change how you're going to focus as you're reading. It also does the translation, and you could pick the translation. You could do it by word or for the entire document. When you click on a word, let's say, no, Assistant doesn't have one. Some of them actually, did I have it selected? Yeah, I do have it selected. There we go, help. Help, that's a good one, right? Has a picture of it. If you have another language over here, like Burmese, let's say. I don't know if that'll work, but there you go. Burmese is supported, so it shows up over here. If the language supported for voice, it'll also show up over here. Lots of different features. You could experiment with the features that are at the tabs at the top right over here. And that's a pretty fun feature. If you want to download whatever you've created, or interacted with the AI, you could press the download button. It'll download one-to-one as best as it can. We're about to make some improvements on that so that it looks even better. Another feature that we've also improved is the UTversal translator. Now, the old UTversal translator, I'll show you real quick. It looks like this. And now it looks like this. Of course, there's light mode as well if you prefer light mode, but it's especially beneficial when you're using it on a phone. So what the UTversal translator does is you're using it on your phone, you're out in in public, and you're talking to somebody who may not be speaking the same language as you. You could use this to have real-time conversation in those languages, right? So I've already spoken about the UTversal translator many a times in the past, but essentially you just press the speak button, and then now you can talk and say something. And now it translates it over here.
Makipag-usap at magsalita ng isang bagay.
And it translated into Filipino. Fantastic. You can go back and forth. Just select the one you want to talk in. So if you want to talk back in Tagalog, you would click on speak over here and go back and forth. You can now click on the history button, and this is probably what everyone's been looking forward to. And you can see that now you have a full history of your translations. You could favorite your favorite histories. So you could press on the favorite button and you'll see the ones I've saved. And you can also tag them by clicking on the plus button. You can add a tag like test tag. And you can also create a new tag right here, test tag 2. And you could change the color if you wanted to. And you could press the submit. And now you have it in tags. So that way, you could easily search through your translations either by text, by tags, or for your favorites. And when you're ready, you press this little button over here, and it adds it into your translator. So that way you can always go back to it. So and it'll automatically select the languages and put in the text exactly as is. So those are some of the major accessibility features for UTVerse. And it looks like we're kind of coming up on time. There's a lot of other features I really wish I could talk to you about. But if there's any questions so far, I'd be happy to answer them.
No questions, huh? It seems
Oh.
like it's how do you have kind of a schedule for new versions to come out? Because it seems like you're quite frequently coming out with new versions.
Yeah, so this version is coming out in a couple of days. It just depends because uh, there's only 2 of us, and the other person's not really in the AI team. He's just working a little bit here and there into UTVerse. And then there are these tickets to answer, there are places to be, and but maybe 60% of my time isn't even being spent onto developing UTVerse. And these things can happen out of the blue. So because of that, there's no real schedule for when new updates are coming. But I really would like to kind of push towards more of a, every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, within the month range, if it's a really big update. Like this one right here is a really big update. We didn't want to release anything while the students were doing exams and all of that. And all the updates over here were kind of piggybacking off of each other anyway. So it ended up being a colossal update. We probably won't see a big update like this for some time. So I'm going to try and aim for every 2 weeks. UTverse week. So verse week. So there's a website here. I think it's this one.
So if there are issues, is it just a help desk ticket?
Yeah.
If anybody has issues? Okay.
Yeah, so there's this page, and I think, yeah, that is that page. There's another page. I don't know where that other page went. but it seems like it is that page where you could see what we have to offer on UTVerse week. We're basically going to go through like an introduction about AI and UTVerse in general. We're going to be exploring all the features for UTVerse in pretty extensive detail. We're going to go into kind of how the thought process of AI works. So it's no longer kind of a mysterious thing. Going to also expand onto the accessibility features. And let's see, kind of some of the future stuff that we're looking into. I know that there's also some ethics because people want to talk more about the ethics side of things. So we're actually actively involved into engaging with people regarding the ethics of AI and where to utilize it, and what features are too much, right? So there's so much going on with UTVerse, really. And UTVerse week is one of those things where you come in, it's Zoom or sorry, Teams, and you just sit here for maybe an hour, half an hour, depending on the session, and you just learn everything you can about that one subject, and you have complete option to ask questions during that time as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Mark. And yeah, we're kind of over time, so I appreciate everybody joining us today. And if you know of anybody that might want to join the next meeting or join the Collaboration Hub, please send me or Amar an email. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today, and we appreciate your time and going over the new. It does sometimes make it nice than when the tech people have technical problems.
Yeah.
Makes us feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I shouldn't have touched it this morning. I shouldn't have touched
No,
but,
we're
yeah.
excited. We're excited to see the new version and look forward to UTVerse week.
Yeah.
That I think that's
Yeah.
this was perfect. We didn't really plan that, but this turned out great that we had you on right before UTVerse week. So
Yes.
we're able to talk about it some.
Absolutely. There are limited seats, and there's kind of like a queue going on. We'll see about extending those seats if it's still full. So just reach out if you really want a seat, and we'll reserve you one.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.